What's up, guys? Pixels Live here. I'm bringing you another episode of Ctrl+Z, the best podcast to listen to while you design. We got the usual suspects, Evan Eckerd and Rated Designs on, and special guest, Josh or Inkbite.
Hey, how's it going?
So, Josh, for those people out there listening that don't know who you are, go ahead and just kind of tell them roughly what you do.
What I officially do, I guess, is where I pretty much just draw things. I'm a freelance illustrator and been doing that for almost a year now. So I do some videos on YouTube. Honestly, that probably gets neglected a lot more than what it should be. So
I think that's true of just about everyone.
Yeah, it seems to be a common trend. At least I'm not the only one with the problem. So
yeah, you guys probably know Josh's Minecraft art. He's quite good at that.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm drawing squares a lot, so it makes it pretty easy, I guess.
Very good at square drawing.
Squares are hard.
I prefer circles.
They're easy to shade. It's just like, all right, we'll just pick one side of it.
Drawing cubes drives me up the wall. I don't know how you do it.
So real quick, before we jump in, I just want to mention real quick that we have an official sponsor for the show, Gamma Gamers. They are a part of G Fuel, and great product. If you guys haven't tried them, it's a product made for gamers by gamers, and really good stuff. So definitely check them out, and we appreciate their sponsorship. And we'll just jump right in.
How does it work for designers, though?
Well, it is an energy supplement, so if you're on one of those long
long haul
long design binges.
That's a hell of a question. Let's work for designers.
Those late night deadline was yesterday.
Yeah. It sounds like my everyday.
Got the project today. Deadline was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's the one. So just to touch on, if you guys don't follow us on Twitter, we had some technical difficulties with some audio and stuff like that. So we apologize for missing last week, but we will try to make this an extra special show to make up for that. No promises there, though.
I'm glad you sugar-coated it. You should have just said
I
Evan
did.
broke it.
Straight up to Cosmo.
Evan did it.
He Cosmo blind.
In the description, Evan ruined it.
It's all those vinyl records you're listening to, man. You just don't know how to you just got to figure out how to do this audio on a computer.
Everything sounds like a tin can to me. It sounded fine, you know.
Evan's still using Netscape Navigator. We're trying to get him rid of that.
Yeah, he had his iPhone held up to the speakers recording.
Blackberry and
I'm gonna try that now.
Oh, man. He tried to send me the recording on a VCR tape, and I was like, what is...
Beta. It was on beta.
What am I supposed to do with this? I don't know. Oh, man. So good. So good. So, one thing that I did want to cover was in your design process, obviously it's different for every project, but you probably have some go-to steps that you do with every client, and so I just wanted to kind of run through quickly and see what you guys do as far as getting a client from, hey, I need this, to, hey, thanks for the great work.
There's a few different stages there.
It's a long leap, but
the part that I hate is the admin part, just the stage of just getting the project started from I was talking to Josh earlier today even on that, just The back and forth emails until you get like a go, you know, that part I hate.
Like the consultation part of it, or the negotiating on the price, or
consultation is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the client. Like especially like there's some clients that if you've been working with them for a while, you can sort of you can wing it for a lot of the way because you know what they like and what they want. But yeah, especially if it's new clients and stuff like that, it can be a bit tricky at times. But I've sort of developed a process sort of over the last couple of years because they come from an agency background as well and stuff in-house there, and I just basically stole a lot of process from them. And
let's say borrowed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, acquired, and I've been using that, and it actually has worked out pretty good so far. In fact, almost sort of no sort of hiccups along the way. Just sort of obviously tweaking it for the particular crowd. But yeah, definitely like my email at the moment. I think nowadays I just tend to my email for that negotiating sort of things once a week. If I do it every day, I just won't get anything done. So I thought about bringing someone on to do it, but then just the time taken to train people and that sort of thing. I think that and people want to speak to me anyway and throw ideas. I mean, Evan and all you guys would be the same as well in terms of, you know, the client for the most part wants to speak to the designer in terms of ideas and stuff like that. So
I have a lot of kickback from people because I just we had talked about it previously about me setting up a business email because I was a little unhappy about using Twitter DMs or Skype for business purposes, and I get a little kickback from people not wanting to use email for some reason. Like, sorry, it's the best way for me to keep the conversations organized and the best way for me to get back to you, because I've noticed if I answer a Twitter DM on my computer, if I try to go back and look at it on my phone or even my other laptop, it'll delete their side of the conversation from the direct message log, and I'm like, well, that was a waste of 30 minutes or an hour or whatever.
I keep running into problems where it blocks links, so if I paste a link in there to send it to somebody, Twitter will give me be like, no.
Yeah, just won't send it. Yeah, I've done that before as well, and I just pressed send and walked away and thought I'd sent a file. And yeah, but I mean, I've had the same problem. So as of now, I just set the policy that I don't deal with stuff over Twitter. If people ask me for prices or want to talk about anything, I send them straight to the website.
Yep,
that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, it's just have one point. If you have multiple points, it just gets real tricky, and all that sort of stuff goes through, and I make all the bookings, and everything is done via email. And then when it's time to get onto the project, I will send them an email saying, okay, add me on Skype now. I also refuse to add people on Skype, not because I'm a mean old Grinch, but just because there's just otherwise you spend all day Skyping. So I just say I don't have people on Skype until it's until it's time to go. That's what I find.
Yeah, I
usually help.
We did touch briefly on that a couple weeks ago about how Skype group conversations turn into more of a time suck than productivity.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Start about that anymore. It's just too much for me, dude.
Yeah, when I was in a few Skype groups, I just turned off notifications. Just like I'll check it every now and then, but otherwise it's just constantly going pa-boom, pa-boom, pa-boom.
Every time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always on Don't Disturb. A lot of people always are asking me, hey, you're not online. I'm like, oh, I'm online. I'm just not paying attention.
I just don't want you to know it.
That is one of the greatest buttons in the world, is the Do Not Disturb. And it literally means don't disturb. But,
yeah.
I mean, I've come to I think yesterday I came to the conclusion I'm going to have to make this. It took me 2.5 hours to sign into my Skype yesterday.
Yeah, some backstory on that. He has over 100 contact requests.
I don't even want to say how many I have right now, but it's over the 500s right now.
Jesus.
And a lot of it is just, that's, I guess, the difference in clientele.
Yeah.
Via, Call of Duty versus, real life, business stuff. I usually don't deal with that on Skype. If they want to talk to me, we can go talk in public, and that's just kind of how it is. But yeah, I have way more than 500 plus contact requests. A lot of it's, people, customers get upset and they just like to leak my email or my Skype, and blows my whole. What they don't realize is that's not helping their cause at all. It's making them. So I'm going to take a lot longer for you to get what you want. So
the only thing that I find Skype adequate for, as far as business is concerned, is file transfer. That's really the only thing I use it for anymore.
True.
Yeah, I find it good for if I'm going back and forward with things, just because it's a little bit speedier. But like the way that my process works is I let them know straight up. I've got like a document which I've typed up, and I just link it straight to them, and it just says, there's 3 stages. With illustration, it's a bit different than design as well. It's a bit more cut and dry, I think. So I can send them a rough of what their picture's going to look like, and that will take me like 10 minutes, and I just scribble it down. And it is actually, a lot of the time, it is just scribble, like it's squares where heads are supposed to be, or, it really just shows sort of how the composition is going to sit. And then we can sort out all the invoicing and stuff like that. And then I do line work, send it back to them, get approval, and then go to color. And once we're at color, we don't go back to line work. Once we're at line work, we don't go back to rough. And as long as they outline it in the beginning, then they're usually pretty cool with it. Or if they know that they want to go back and change it, then, it's gonna, it may be extra.
That's the great thing about illustration work too, is there's so many opportunities to get their input before you go too far, and then you're going to backtrack several hours of work. It's really nice for that, to you have all those stages that you can say, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And then they're get what they want.
You can do the same with design. Yeah. I mean, you can do just quick sketch layout of what a design would be without a full render.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm not. I mean, I draw, but I don't. Like, so illustration's not really in my reservoir. I don't do that. I'm more of the logo design, layout design, all manipulation, that type of stuff. I like to do that, but add stuff like that. So for me, it's completely different. Like, well, when a client comes up to me, I don't really give them a, I don't give them, they usually ask me, can I see some samples? I mean, it could take me, a good hour to really get what I'm doing going before I, have to send them something, or it could be a day of brainstorming before I do anything. I mean, I guess that's where it kind of differs with, logo design and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was at the agency, we worked with a graphic designer there as well, and that's sort of similar sort of things. She might send a spreadsheet of like a sheet full of logo ideas, but then she'd make them physically sign off on it, and then back then faxing or emailing or whatever, actually sign off, hey, this is the one we've chosen, so that there's no sort of going back or anything like that. I think that's the biggest time sink is when clients jump back and forward, which you guys probably get in the same thing as well, changing ideas, yeah. So any way that we can avoid that usually is a good thing.
It's frustrating as hell too, because like sometimes you build your whole design around it, and then they want to change it. It's just you got to change the whole composition.
Yep.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a client recently that I did a YouTube banner for, and I got through the consultation process, had a pretty good idea of what he wanted, or at least I thought I had a pretty good idea of it. Sent it over to him, and he's like, yeah, can we make it black and white and remove this and this and this? And that's like basically just his name left after it's all said and done in black and white. And I was like,
okay.
This would have been a 3-minute project if I had known that.
Yeah.
But
it's getting into the client's head. I think that's the hardest part. Yeah. Once we figure out how to do that, the rest can be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yep, and those nightmare words. I give you the freedom to do what you want. And I'm like, God, no, please.
Oh, yeah. The white paper brief.
Every time someone says that, I'm like, okay, My Little Pony themed? Got it.
And it'll end up unicorns and really rainbows. Cool.
And the thing is, like, cool. I mean, it's just like, they're like, you know, I'm not really feeling the ponies. And you're just like...
I was.
Shouldn't
have trusted me.
So do you have any kind of ironclad process, Evan?
No. I mean, I've been in like corporate environments for a long time, so the process was probably closer to like an agency type setup. As far as freelance, though, I always, my time was always limited, so I was always like looking for a final up front. You know, it was I just wanted to make sure that every part of the stage I did, and that kind of, I guess that leads back into like what Josh was saying about you know, getting into the client's head. So you don't have to do a bunch of revisions, and you don't have to go back and forth, and you try to just nail each stage, you know, up front, so you don't have so you can go on to the next project, and just keep it rolling. So it was always, you know, I as going through, trying to gather enough information up front so you know what you're doing, and then in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, okay, this one I'm putting down, and this, I don't know if this is right or wrong. This is just the way I did it, but you know, this is going to be final. And then, on occasion, there'd be some parts where it did require a lot of selling, right? Because the client maybe wanted something a little bit different, but in all honesty, it you know, it, for one reason or another, probably wouldn't have worked better. So you have to like sell. No, let's keep, you know, let's do this one. I've already got it pre-planned. We can just keep going.
Yeah, I've definitely had those.
It does help make things faster, but like I said, I don't know if it was always right, but it did help. You know, keeping the thought of let's keep this final, you know, in the back of my mind seemed to accelerate things a little bit. I don't know. Is that what you guys do, or are you like? Because I've seen a lot of designers work where they just come up with a bunch of different stuff and just throw it at a client and just wait, you know, and do that over and over and over.
Oh, I would not do that. No way.
Sometimes I'll run into the problem where if I get a client and it's not one of those I need it tomorrow things, you know, I give them like a week or two deadline, and I come back to them. They'll have seen something that they liked more, and they want to change to that concept.
Oh, like if you wait too long?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's because
like
they don't know
wait too long,
they don't know what they want up front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've never had that.
Oh, somebody's audio is not.
Sorry, that was. I live near a train line, so.
Oh, I thought there was an airplane taking off.
Let me get the train schedule out. I will just figure out when to pause that.
Pause for a quick commercial break.
Cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought my computer exploded.
No.
What's going on here?
Yeah, guys, the 211's going to be coming past shortly as well.
Yeah.
Australia, everybody.
Yeah, wait till the cattle trains come past. So they're long.
So I think the important thing to take away from what we're discussing is, if you're designing, always incline in the design process, because if you just go from consultation to final product, you're gonna cause yourself a lot of headaches and a lot of lost time. So I think that's
Also, you might cause yourself a death sentence.
Yeah.
Gotta get that one in there. Just had to.
So we touched briefly on it, and I kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the design team's thing. Kind of seems like we're hammering this down, but if I remember correctly, our long conversation about this was on the Lost podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and plus we didn't get Josh's perspective on how closely you follow those. Josh, the design team.
Weren't you part of Dare Arts with Ali and all them?
Yeah, when I've got a bit of experience in it, so I guess I'd have a few things to add. I'd want to hear your guys' thoughts for sure. But yeah, I was sort of involved in that, especially when I first, because I really didn't have any idea what was going on. I just started drawing pictures and then putting it up on YouTube, and then I just thought that's what you did, and then I learned that there's more to it than that. So I don't know. I'd probably wait to hear your guys' thoughts, but yeah, I was in Dare a long time ago, maybe 2011, 12 maybe, I think. So
I was definitely not. So I remember the uploads on the channel. You did like, that was back when like everybody wanted their little cartoon themselves, on little cartoons and everything. Yeah, I remember that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was around when Laurent was doing stuff as well, because he's the one that originally sort of found what I did and sort of added. He was starting a design team. He was running something called the Evocative or something like that. He just said, "Oh, do you want to join this team?" So it's like, yeah, right. I don't really know what's going on. I'm like, yeah, what do I have to do? Just draw pictures? Yeah, cool. And so, and then that sort of led to sort of, obviously more things and meeting more people and stuff like that. And that's actually when I remember first hearing about Evan, because Lauren's like, "Oh, this is Evan Ecker," and sent me like your YouTube channel. He's like the godfather of the designers, and I'm like, oh.
That's awesome.
That's
man,
like, this guy's
everybody in the design teams. They all just go like Evan Ecker, God. Like there is no God. There's no, but like if God was here, Evan Ecker's here. Like there is no like. They're just that step away. We gotta
broaden some horizons then.
Well, like, I love Evan. I love his work, but then I'm like, dude, Evan is amazing what he does. But there's so many other designers out there. There's like Sueda, and there's like millions of people that don't even do this. Like
they're not on YouTube.
Stuff.
They don't post stuff on YouTube, or if they do, it's so rare that I don't think they really know why.
Or they use Vimeo, whatever that other thing is called.
Yeah. I see a lot of them, like, I go on Behance, and that's like a site that I get lost on that site just in stuff, but that is a site that I find a lot of guys on there that do, like, like, I saw one of the guys that did, like, a few of the team logos, and I was just amazed at some of the stuff he did.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool thing, and there's so many other designers.
Evan is our resident godfather.
He is the god. You should work on an impression, do a video.
Yeah.
Wake up with a horse head in the bed or something like that.
Need to do it.
You should cartoon yourself as the Godfather.
Yeah.
There you go.
That would be funny with a cigar out of your mouth and everything.
I'll Photoshop my head onto Marlon Brando and call it done.
say hello to my little friend at your tablet instead of
Scarface. Yeah. Oh man, no. The back to the team things. The thing, like I guess I'm officially on a team now, but as a mentor type capacity. So like I'll help the team members, if they run into real world stuff, clients, design, whatever, and they want somebody who has been doing it for a little bit, then I can chime in and help. But the biggest kind of thing that confused me about teams was how they were set up. They don't. A lot of them don't seem like traditional teams as far as like what everybody's called. So I know I talked about this last time, but I ruined the recording. But
I was waiting for it. I was like, yeah, we did it.
If you guys aren't catching on to the theme here, we're just gonna keep giving Evan.
I'm gonna get a shirt made that just says "I broke it."
Yes, please.
He's the audio godfather, is he?
Eventually, down the road, after we get like 100 episodes of this in, we'll release the Lost podcast.
Yeah,
it'll be a secret link.
The tin can episode. But the team thing that confused me was that there's usually 2 buckets, right? There's 3 buckets. There's like leader, then there's designers,
co-leader,
then there's the other people we can't categorize, right? So it's like you don't really have a team. Like my analogy last time was like if you have a baseball team, you have a person for every role, right? You have and you probably have like a backup or a secondary, but I can't. It's like the way these teams are set up. It feels like you got like 20 pitchers and 20 outfielders, and there's really okay. How do you get them to work together? So. That's just what confuses me. But as you see, I guess as you see people's strengths and what they do better at, then maybe you can like group them together and be have actual teams where they collaborate, put something together. The other thing that I don't see, even though they're called teams, there's still a lot of individual stuff, and it's not actually. It's more. There's a big channel or a big hub, and everybody's just kind of pushing their own thing to it. So that doesn't really say team to me either. So
yeah, there is the major issue with roster writing and stuff like that, but the main issue that I find is that whenever they recruit new people, they just say we're doing a recruitment challenge, and you're like, a recruitment challenge for what? Are you like do you need illustrators, social media guys? Do you need graphic designers? Do you need motion designers? And the crazy thing is they take submissions from all of those people, and I'm like, this has got to be a nightmare for leaders to decide who to let in.
I mean, I agree, but I think most of the design teams, and I said this to a few people, I think earlier. This wouldn't be earlier this week. It was later last week, but because we were talking, I actually brought it up in a call that I was in, and I kind of was just, I said, what's your opinion on your graphics teams or design team or whatever you want to call it? Because I mean, I really am. I'm part of it, but I'm not. I help. I do kind of more what Evan does. I mentor, that type of stuff, but. A lot of these younger kids, look at them like, they can be ran like that. They can be ran as in, single person does a single thing. One team does each, their own thing, where they all can be on a roster as their own person and do their own type of thing. But I think a lot of them are also getting the wrong idea. Is you do need like, collaborations within a team. You got to put X amount of people together to come up with something insane, and that's what really makes design such a powerful thing. Is you put an illustrator with a designer with or a graphic designer with a motion guy, and come up with something that looks like it's gonna explode. And like, I mean, there's a million things you can do with them, but that's what a design team should be, instead of everyone kind of doing their own thing. But back on what we were talking about, opinions on them. I think they're great things. Mm-hmm. They're cool. They're great ideas, and it's a great social thing. You meet a million other guys that are interested in the same things that you are. But I think people just kind of grow out of them. It's like you try it once, and it's either for you or it's not for you. But I wouldn't say that they're like horrible things or anything.
Yeah, no, teams are good in the sense that it's. One of the worst things for a designer or an artist or creative person is just to be on their own the whole time. Not have somebody to bounce ideas off of, or a second set of eyeballs at times. If you're
right.
just in a corner doing it, with no other input, then you're limiting yourself. So I mean, the interaction is a good thing that they have.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it. I suppose that's a good point in terms of the word team and I suppose what they're supposed to be, and how they actually are. But I guess, like for me, I mean the way that it operated, and I mean we've said which team we're talking about, so I don't want to anger anyone, so I'm going to speak choose my words carefully. But I mean, especially with like obviously Ali and him leading and what he's done and all that sort of stuff. I mean, he's a fantastic individual, and we still speak from time to time on Skype, and an amazing designer. But it got to the point, like it really is. Some of them sometimes it can just be like it really is just a channel where just a variety of different stuff gets uploaded. I think it was like that Creative Station one as well.
Yeah.
Which actually got really weird, but I don't want to go into that. But it's like, I think I said, yeah, you can upload this video or something like that. And then like I was flicking over it the other day and it's like, oh, there's still stuff going on. I don't know. It's really weird. But it really acts as sort of a channel where they sort of just pick uploads and different people get uploads. So it's really good for designers who are new as well, or people who are learning to sort of keep practicing and obviously get more promotion and stuff like that than they may do if they're putting stuff up to their own channel and stuff like that, and obviously get more notice and hopefully more customers, which will lead to more work. The chats themselves are good as well, until you're in too many of them, and it does just become spam. And there's like little ones that just keep popping up. It's like, hey, we're just saying your design team. Hey, we're saying your design team. It's going to be the best on YouTube, stuff like that. It's like, well, you know. But the ability to collab with, to actually work with other guys and stuff like that in like a really see much of that. I mean, that might be going on now, from what I was seeing, it was a lot of individual efforts just being uploaded and stuff like that, which is still good because it means that you're getting your work out there, you're getting more eyes on it, and people are able to see it as well. So it definitely works in that sense. Maybe the word team might be a little wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's more of like a hub where, which is good as well, because if you subscribe to the Dare Arts, like you are going to get like a ton of different different kinds of art being uploaded, and all of it is really good quality. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that's getting put up there is incredible, and I mean they're all very, very talented. But maybe the word team really does skew it a little bit. For me, it got to the point where people are like, "Oh, I was playing with you the other night. You were Dare Squishy or something." like that on Xbox. You weren't playing with me, so and then everyone and I was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. So and that was the point where I was sort of transitioning the business to be more of a illustration studio, sort of, rather than and I wanted the business to be known as, you know, Inkbite, as opposed to being Dare something, or and moving more into that commercial side of work rather than just the YouTube side of things. So that was purely the reason why I decided to sort of put things down there. But in terms of talent, like and even some of the designers that I knew that were doing stuff in those groups back then, I've seen their stuff now, and it's just like, holy smokes, like I'm not going to have a job if you guys keep improving as quickly as... It's like, it really is a good environment for people who are new, who are wanting to learn. It does also lead to, because of that, and the tendency to have a lot of the younger guys in there as well, which can be a good and a bad thing. It's really good because they get that sort of input, and they get that sort of... what you're saying, Evan, with the mentoring and stuff like that, and because that's really what you need when you're starting out, because you can know the guidelines to design, like all the rules and stuff like that, but to actually put it into application and especially with illustration, how do I draw a hand and stuff like that, then that's really good. But it also means I think that sometimes you do have to be a bit wary of the group conversations, as we spoke about earlier, because it can just which is good for the social side of things, but at the same time, if you're trying to work and your Skype keeps pinging with stuff which is sort of unrelated, then it can be a bit that it can get a bit distracting, I guess.
Yet to be involved in a Skype group chat that was even 50-50 work and social. It's more like 80-20.
Well, I think it comes down to age. I mean, like I've said, and like Ink Bite was saying, is, it comes down to, really just age. I mean, the younger the guys, sometimes they just like to talk a lot. I mean, it's just kind of what it is. I remember when I was 15, I couldn't shut up, and that's just what I am. But,
I'm 27 and I still don't shut up. So
I'm 21 and I'm still having problems as well. But
don't even get him started on music.
Yeah, no, we're not touching music this time.
It's a cool
Having
thing.
said that,
No, it's just I do completely agree with the part of just the incredible work I'm seeing lately. It's it's ridiculous. I think that's definitely the best place to be. Is in those chats you see some top-notch work that is just ridiculous.
The bar is definitely on the rise, I'd say.
yeah, like I find it hard to use the word sort of community in inverted commas, but I guess if you are new to the community and you're learning to design and stuff like that, I mean, teams are really, I think that is what they're there for, because without that sort of stuff, I probably would still be, uploading the odd video here and there. Like, they really get your work out there, and they put you in an environment where everyone is designing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, if you want to get good at something, then, that's what people say to me, and I say, what's the tip about, like, how do you become so good at drawing, blah, 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 and it is no secret. And it's the same with designing as well. There's actually no secret. You can read theory, and you can understand the rules, and you can understand color theory, and you can understand harmony, and all this sort of stuff. But there's actually the good thing about our game is that there's actually no magic tricks. It's your actual level of work is directly proportional to the amount of time you put in. So if you put in more hours than this other dude that puts in less hours, then you're actually going to become better. And to sort of surround yourself in an environment, like a team environment like that, then, I think that it can only be a good thing, especially for these people that are just trying to, get started and get better at what they do.
Yeah, there's definitely not a lot of opportunity as far as design is concerned to take shortcuts to try and catapult yourself faster.
Yeah, I agree.
You really got to put in the work.
Well, there is one. It's called plagiarism, though, and it's generally generally frowned upon.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Plagiarism is
Definitely.
Yep.
And I honestly, that's another. I see that a lot, and I don't like that at all. And it's one of those things where there's a fine line between plagiarism and inspiration.
Inspiration, yeah.
Completely, there's a fine line. I see it a lot, and I'm not one to get involved in the whole dramatic stuff over Twitter. I'm not one to put my opinion on, but I think people that that copy and people that are inspired and use certain handles and certain aspects of something to and recreate your own, two different things. And I think there's a lot of people that get really upset about the whole copying thing, and for 100%, I completely agree. I understand it. I get it. I get that you're upset about it. It's just something that definitely needs to be. I don't really know how to explain it the best way. So it needs to be addressed in the best way possible.
My problem is how. What action do you take whenever someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Zach, somebody stole your artwork"? Let's say they tweet you and they say, "Look,
I've had my logo stolen 3 or 4 times. Saw it on a site. I saw it, and it was my logo. Actually, it was a whole design that I actually designed. It was one of my Behance projects. They took part of it. They blurred it subtly, and then they put my logo on it. And it was just kind of like, That's like, what? Really? Like, I kind of looked at it for a second. You trying to tell me about my stuff? Like, I know I made it. And then I looked at the site and I realized that it was, you know, the low traffic site, and it was linked to me by, it was a Weebly. So, like, part of me, it was just, I was like, okay, you know something? It's not a big deal. If the guy's generating money off of it, that's when you start getting a little bit of a big problem. It was like a kid who made a Weebly site, so I left it alone. Didn't even say anything. Then came the problem. I made a Call of Duty Advanced Warfare poster, had my logo on the bottom right, everything. Next day I saw it up on a Call of Duty site, uploaded, and it was like a random guy, had my logo. He didn't call himself Rated, he called himself it was like a name, it was like Randall or something, and it was like, dude, that's my logo. Like, what are you doing? And then I realized that he uploaded to a forum site, the Call of Duty forum, my poster. And people were, you know, kind of cool, and I got a hold of the guy, said to him, you know, I linked him all like the original stuff, and I was like, that's my work. It was taken down within like 20 minutes, but if that wasn't taken down, I don't even know what I'd do. I mean, how would I get that down?
I'm a highly non-confrontational person in general, so it's hard for me to be like, you know, take it down or else, you know,
right.
Like, I don't even know what they're, as long as they're not making money off of it, I usually let it slide.
Yeah, there's right ways to deal with it and there's wrong ways. Like, I've seen people that will get on Twitter or something like that and be like, oh, go dislike this video, they stole something, or go, you know, ruin this guy's life or something like that. Right. Well, I don't know. Like, that's not how I jam. If someone takes something, I mean, there's ways to deal with it and there's ways not to deal with it. But it's also, they copy here with this a lot as well. Obviously, the work that I do, my particular sort of character illustration stuff has a defined style. Like, my stuff is very sort of cartoony, but it's got a lot of detail to it, I guess. It's usually with big heads and little bodies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the Minecraft side of work, like, all the time people are like, oh, you copied Inkby, you copied blah, blah, blah. Because there's a few people that obviously do Minecraft art now. Yeah. And it's become a big thing. And you copy this, you copy that. And it's got to the point where I'm like, it's honestly, it's a square on top of a rectangle. I mean, there's not a lot of ways to draw it. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, I know that it may look like people are copying, but at the same time, it is a square with a little bit of hair on top of his head. I mean, there's not a lot of ways that people can change that.
It's like with a lot of design. It's like there's not many ways you can put a bar on a pic. It's
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's certain design elements which can be replicated in terms of, you know, in other designs and stuff like that, you know, which is, I guess, which would lead to design styles, you know, all that vintage style, all that, you know, the futuristic shiny stuff and all that sort of stuff, you know, it's sort of the same sort of elements just brought into play differently. Mm-hmm. And so it's very easy for people to say, this is copying, and people do tend to overreact a little bit, I guess. And it can be frustrating, unless they've actually copied, and I've had times where they've taken a picture and dropped the opacity and drawn over the top of it. And I've had a guy who has done that and then sold it as well. Basically, he took an avatar that I drew, put it up and said, selling avatars, $20 each or something like that. And the avatar was one I had actually drawn. And I just, in the end, someone linked it to me, and I was like, well, all the best to him. Like, if he can sell an avatar for $20 and then actually draw it, you know, good. I don't know how he's going to draw it if he didn't draw the one to begin with. So, I mean, we'll let him dig his way out of that hole. So, so yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but I'm definitely non-confrontational as well. I sort of just try and stay away from it as much as possible. Like I actually got linked a picture from a convention of a stall in Europe somewhere where they had printed out little posters of some of my work. It was in low res and it was really, really crappy as well. And I mean, there's nothing I can do. Like, it's some sort of bootleg stall that had just printed out pictures of mine and then sold them and stuff like that. And I was like surprised. It's like $10 sticker on it. I was like, gee, if I can make $10 from some of my stuff, that's pretty cool.
I mean, most of my stuff I don't even feel like whatever. It's like it's unless they're making hundreds and hundreds of dollars off of my, then I'll get a little offended. But I won't confront somebody who's
the thought that goes through my mind is how long can they really expect to get away with just taking other people's work and nobody noticing, right? So maybe I'm not going to say something.
Actually, that is a really good point. There's been a lot of people that actually they've gotten away with it for a long time.
Really?
I don't want to name names because it's pointless to name names and it's just going to start more things. You know, you got to be careful what you say, but you know, I can name a lot of people that do it, and I'm not one to like, you know, go out and be like, oh, he does it, you know, everyone attack him. Like it's like it comes down to like that life lesson, like, you know, karma eventually will come back to him, get caught. The people will eventually get caught on, you know, on if they're copying. I mean, it's not anything that's, you know, and it also is like, if somebody wants to design from you, good luck doing that and selling it. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Are you just going to sit around and wait for me to do something that's similar to...
Right.
Yeah. I've known some people in the music sort of scene who, like, I was using some music from a guy, and I was like, wow, your stuff's really good, and he got a big following because Skrillex tweeted something that apparently he did, and I believed it for like a year. I was using all his music, and he was sending me new stuff, and it turns out one day I was on some other channel and I heard the same song, and I looked it up, and it was actually theirs, and they were on a recording label and everything, and they just like would just steal these little songs from everywhere and then just upload them. It
comes in, which is a whole
yeah,
well,
yeah,
you got to pass Skrillex.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, see, I mean, how much of that was true, I don't know, but I can't even find. Like, I was like, oh, I wonder what this dude's doing. I just stopped using his music and removed him off Skype and stuff like that. And then I just sort of. I was like, I can't find him anymore anyway, so I guess he's either gone underground or just got some new name or something like that. So, but yeah, that's when it becomes a little bit tricky when it's sort of music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this business, you're gonna get copied a lot, and it's just something. It's what happens. I can't count how many times I've come across something where it was, you know, it was a copy, and I used to get kind of bent out of shape, but then I realized it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's unless they're making money off of it in some way. You know, that's the only time. The only times I get angry about it is when I see like something I did for a client that gets ripped and put on something else. So, like, I'm having to.
Oh yeah.
I'm having to cruise sites and like the print-on-demand sites and tell them, no, that Riot Line picture isn't theirs, you know, or you know, take it down, you know, DMCA. But it's you know, when I do get a link or something sent to me of a you know, essentially a carbon copy of something, you know, I don't really get mad. I more just want to. This happened a couple times across YouTube where I'll message the guy. I'll be like, look, dude, you know, I'm not mad, but if you want to be a designer, you got to strive to do something original, no matter how it turns out. You know, you're setting yourself back when you're just, you know, copying stuff. So, you know, you gotta. How are you gonna grow if you're gonna do that? So, I usually just try to like. Help, like, in a positive way. You know, you should just, I don't care if that was mine, but, you know, just, you know, do your own thing. I want to see what comes out of your head, you know. So, but yeah, I'll never forget that time I walked into a shopping mall, and I walked up to a phone kiosk, and it was covered in cell phone cases, just in cell phone cases had my patterns all over them, and it was some Chinese company had ripped them off and off a skin site and printed all these cell phone cases, and I'm like, now that sucks. That's when it's like come on, in real world, and I just walked into this, you know, and it's like the distributors in like Shenzhen, China or something, and I was so bent out of shape. That's probably the only time I'm really angry.
like the stuff off of DinPack.
Yeah. Like it was stuff that actually I had done for Decal Girl, and I think what they had done is that they had bought some of the skins and scanned them, and then printed them on phone cases. Yeah. They look like crap. They look horrible. That would make me even angrier. It's like, at least do it right.
Yeah. I guess that's the other thing as well. Like, also just be smart about it. Don't put high-res artwork up with someone so they are going to bootleg it. Just, I mean, at least it looks crappy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in the end, it just becomes water off a duck's back, really. Like, I mean, I remember when Evan, you were drawing something. I think it was around the right line time. Which is the line with the sunglasses, and I was like, oh man, it looks sweet. And then like for the next 2 weeks, just everyone was drawing a line with sunglasses. Everywhere I looked, there was a line with sunnies on, and I was like, okay, either I'm missing something here, but I mean, in the end, right? I mean, that comes back to whether is it inspiration or people copying,
Yeah, so. See that stuff. Actually, I like that stuff. I definitely. Yeah. That's much more inspiration and unless they're straight carbon copy, but and that type of artwork, I was inspired by other guys when I was doing it, like the other vector artists and such. So.
I know. I recently saw. I don't know how people got it. I mean, they either zoomed in a real far, but they got the Nade Shot stuff, the Nade Shot logo. And
yeah, someone pin tooled it.
Yeah, I was like, how do you take the time to do that?
Yeah.
Like, and I was thinking to myself, like, Evan's gonna be pretty pissed off about this.
Well, actually, but that was because it was for a client. If you're ripping off a client's branding, that's like no, don't do that, because then you got, that's a whole nother can of worms, the fact that they were sharing that as a template, and it's like that's branding. You can't do that. But
that's literally like taking
I actually saw the video of that, and he literally did the speed art and literally was just tracing the logo in the speed art. I was like, this is like the most atrocious plagiarism I've ever seen. Like, just brazen,
It's a difference if the actual customer and the designer allow you to use the logo. Yeah. Like, hey, here's the logo, go for it.
The part that I don't mind that they traced it. Like, if they were learning for one way or another, I'm fine. The part that made me angry is that they were then sharing the Photoshop document as anybody could use it, and it's more what if
should be frustrating.
Yeah, what if this isn't just me? This is Matt. You're screwing with his stuff. You can't. So. That's why I was like, no.
And honestly, a lot of designers would be cool if you used some of their stuff, depending on who it was for, probably for Nade Shot stuff or Tom stuff. You're probably not wanting people to reuse that concept for other things, but like, for instance, whenever I first started out on the YouTube Twitch community, Dr. Chiz approached me and he said, I got this design from Evan, and this is before I even knew Evan really, and he said, I got this design from Evan and I want to make a design for my Twitch channel. Can you do something with this? And I said, well, we got to get Evan's permission, and I think I actually finagled Evan's Skype out of him somehow and asked Evan myself, and he gave me permission. He was cool with it. It was one of those Flash info sections that I did, and I used his logo in it, and it turned out great. And Evan didn't hate me forever because I asked his permission.
No, that really happens. That happens everywhere in real world. I mean, usually there's never, maybe that. Well, if there is, I don't know about them. But as far as I know, there's not a single designer that's been like the staple for one brand the entire way through or something. Maybe rare circumstances, but it's a team effort. So unless it's like your own brand, then, there's usually there's the big thing that comes into play there is consistency, right? So like brand standards and style guides and stuff. So make sure that when it goes from one hand to another, it still looks like the same brand. That's when, you know, and what the thing that kind of, when I do get bothered there is when, you know, say someone does, like, say you did branding for somebody and you set up like a color palette or whatnot, and then somebody else does something but they change like all the colors in the logo. It's like, that's when it's like, okay, now you can't do that, because now what you're doing is you're weakening that brand, right? Because it had its staple colors, you know, it has its like it'd be like if you went and said, I think all the Dodgers jerseys need to be red and black now instead of blue and white. You know, it still says Dodgers, but it's confusing now, right? So as long as it stays consistent and it keeps the brand strong, then that's just part of the job.
Should I mean, there's been times when back in the agency where we've had, like, for corporate work that we've been in, it's like 50, 100-page style guides.
Yeah.
Like, this is the exact angle. I mean, people would freak out if they saw an actual style guide a lot of the time for some of these sort of corporate brands. This logo can be used on this color background. It has to be this far away from the edge of the piece of paper and stuff like that. Like, they go right down to the nitty-gritty. And but I mean, like, it's like I did, like, people were asking, oh, can you do a tutorial on how to draw, blah, 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 tutorial. That's all I ever get asked. And, I mean, it's hard because when you're drawing, I can't teach you to draw. Like, you need to sort of learn to draw yourself. But with this one that I did, I did provide the sort of the rough concept that I do, that I draw over the top of. And I said, hey, go download it and draw over the top of it, and sort of encourage people to do so. And so it's always cool seeing that stuff come through. And I don't really consider that copying, because obviously I put it up there for once with. So and if they draw something with that rough guide, then and they want to sell it or something like that, then yeah, sure, you know, go for it. Just, you know, all your avatars then
they're all gonna look the same.
Clothes. Yeah.
So on the positive side of finding your work somewhere,
hey, it's cool somebody wanted to steal it.
well, I'm actually looking at it from a different perspective where, as a designer, for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's really cool to see things that you've done out in the real world, and obviously with your permission, it makes it even better. What is like the coolest project you've done that ended up in real life?
TK logo.
TK logo. That's.
I need to talk to you about that. Zach. I have questions about that actually for another date.
Well, there's a lot of questions. A lot of people don't believe that I made it, and some people think.
No. I know you did. I want to. At some point, I think I might have been tasked to work on it before, but it was under a different name. And I still don't know if it was the same.
It's funny. It's funny you said that. There's a million people that have come up to me that said I was like, really? Like, no, I knew Jimmy way back in the day, back before he blew up and became this huge internet sensation. But
wait, who
I knew
was
Jimmy
it?
back up, man, a long time ago. And he approached me and he's like, Rated, you're the guy. I need a logo. Basic TK. That's all I want.
There you go.
So of course, I say to him, like, Jimmy, a T and a K is like boring. That looks like. I mean, like, don't you want something that like is eye peeling? Like, Jimmy goes, no, man, I just want a T and a K. So I drop like 5 different logos. The four of the logos are the coolest things in the world. I was so stoked. I was like, oh, he's gonna love them. And then I put the little flimsy TK.
It's really good.
Hey, yeah,
I mean,
I like the bottom right one, the T and the K, that's it. And I was like, Jimmy, I just worked so hard on the other 4. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, the TK, it's all I want. And he's just like, I was like, all right, fine. So
Really?
I branded it. I came up with a color palette of he wanted this, whole thing. Had the blue logo. I gave him the logo. Now, the one thing that I didn't think of is, what if Team Caliber blows up and it's all over the MLG scene? Yeah, it blew up. And, it didn't take, I didn't take steps to actually
like standards.
trademark them. Right, so now I get nothing off of it.
Oh well,
which sucks.
that kind of just happens, but you know.
Yeah, and it sucks. But I at least you know what I do get out of it is I can say I made the TK logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the biggest one right now.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, and it's amazing because like when you watch those MLG events and you're like, I made TK's logo, and it's like up on the big,
It was
up
cool.
on the big screen. It's all over jerseys. You're just like, yes.
Just nudging the person next to you like,
Right. And then it's all over Xbox and the Xbox store. That's another one too. I made a few Xbox picture packs, and it's all over the place. I think right now the Iron Pack is up to about 1,500 downloads in a few days.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah, I mean that was, you know, it humbled me because it brought me back down to earth. Like, you know, I'm the type of guy that I look at myself and I'm just like, listen, I got lucky on YouTube. I'm lucky to have, you know, the amount of subscribers, the amount of followers I have. I'm lucky. I'm the same person. I just got lucky. And, you know, I was so stoked to see this thing. I thought they were so amazing, you know. And then when I saw them, it like brought me back down to earth. And I was like, Jesus, you know, like I really can make a living for myself.
Yeah.
It was just.
You can come live with me if
I'll
you.
be doing chalk graffiti. That'll be my new thing.
Sidewalk chalk.
Yeah, no, but it's really cool. It's awesome. It's showing that going to school for design and, you know, still being in it. It's really paying off. And to all the people out there that are watching this that are like wondering, hey, do I go to design school? Go to design school. Definitely help.
I know. Evan has some really cool in real life productions.
God, after I heard that story, I almost literally, Evan, when you told me that story about Disturbed, I went into my brother's room. I said, dude, I know the guy that made the setups for 10,000 Fist concert.
You ruined Evan's punchline. you just told Evan's joke.
Dude, his punchline was, I made it for Disturbed. That's it.
That's it. Move on.
Move. No, his story is awesome.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Was that on the episode that I broke?
That was the Lost Podcast. The Lost Podcast.
Well, okay, yeah. I'll long story short, so I about a decade ago, I used to do set design for bands, and it would be for their live shows, and it was when record labels still had a lot of money, and they're allowing bands to do whatever. So the first band that I cut my teeth on, that we had a friend of mine that was a lighting guy, and he would tour with all the bands and do the lighting shows and do the setups, and a lot of them wanted stage props and stuff, and he didn't know anybody to help him. So through a friend, he learned that I could draw a little bit here and there, and so we got into touch, and next thing I know, I'm drawing with my buddy Dan at the time, drawing these huge stage sets for bands, and we did sets for Disturbed and Mudvayne and Blondie, and we did one for Brooks and Dunn, but it never got put up. We did Cold Chamber. There was a couple others, but what was cool was working on it was one thing, but then when you saw pictures show up on the internet of the actual things that were then somebody had gone and sculpted them and actually produced them, and they're hanging from, like we did those cadavers for Disturbed. My buddy Dan drew them up, and I was figuring out the layout of how it would go and the hanging, you know, in coordination with like the backdrop and everything. And those mannequin looking things that somebody went and sculpted and painted and airbrushed, and they were I want to say they're about 15 feet long, and they hung from the rafters of, like, you know, stadiums or whatever they were, wherever they played. And just those two sculptures, from what I heard, the price tag to get them produced was $100 grand. To just get them, like, they're sculpted out of like styrofoam or something. I don't know what they are, but to see like the tour pictures show up and be like, "Hey, we did that," you know, that was that was kind of a trip.
So by association, Evan has been on stage live with Disturbed. And
the best part though, was I got free passes to a lot of shows. I didn't get to like meet bands or anything, but it was like since my buddy did lighting for all these bands, he was like, he just called his friend, hey, my buddy Evan's in town, he wants to go see Tool or he wants to go see Tricky or whatever, and so we got to just like show up and be like, hey, and my wife's got a funny story though of getting on. She was looking for us. We went and met my buddy at the Mudvayne show to see the big test tube alien things we built. And then afterwards, we were going to go talk to the band. And so me and my buddy went and got on their tour bus. And my wife and my buddy's wife, they were trying to meet us. And they got on the wrong tour bus. And next thing they know, Olive Ramstein gets on. And they don't speak a lick of English. And my wife's like, hey, is this Mudvayne? And he's like, hello. You know? And they kind of realized this can't be the right band.
I'm sitting on my computer. I'm trying to find them because
I don't think they're still up anywhere. You might. It'd be.
Do you know what year it was?
I think it was 2000.
I'm gonna look up.
Is this for the Disturbed stuff?
Yeah, it was probably called Sickness Tour or something, because wasn't that was their big song at the time, right?
Which year? 2000.
I think 2000.
So that was the
it had to be 2000.
Yeah, that was the Sickness album. Yeah. And then I think Believe was in like 01.
2002 it was Believe.
Yeah, I know my buddy's got the Disturbed stuff, like, because he's got the Avenged Sevenfold, you know, that sort of skeleton sort of thing with the wings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he's got that sort of tattooed across his across his stomach, like crawling out of the ground. He's got the Disturbed guy up his forearm and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's cool.
So there you go. So, yeah, there might be parts of him which you had a hand in as well.
Yeah, I can't take full credit for it. I got it. My buddy Daniel Seward, he did a majority of the illustration for that, and he's still one of the best illustrators I look up to. He's
you know what's funny about that is those cadaver things and those little alien things are probably sitting in some dude's basement right now.
They're probably they're probably in a garage somewhere just collecting dust.
They're gonna show up. They're gonna show up on Pawn Stars or something one of these days.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they wind up on eBay.
The set pieces from Disturbed,
designed by Evan Ecker.
I don't know about that.
But the funniest is kind of
there is a picture actually I found that has them blurred in the background.
Yeah. Well, you got to think 2000. The digital photos I've come across are like really bad, anyways, right? Because it's like, you know, highest resolution was probably 800 by 600, and it was like super grainy.
It's still unreal to say. I mean, that is something not many people can say.
That's pretty sick. What about you, Josh?
I'm glad I went last because I got to train. I've been trying to think of stuff. I guess most recently because like the last year of my life has really been dominated by Minecraft. I mean, it hasn't really been by choice, but that's just been where a lot of the orders are coming from, and it's just revenue at the moment. Like if people are ordering that, then that's what I draw really. So I guess in terms of that in the last year, maybe the ArcadiaCon stuff, I guess. Which was actually really cool. They approached me before the event, and then it turned out to be obviously a huge event and stuff like that, and I was seeing photos from all these big guys on YouTube, and they're standing by the banners, and I'm like, hey, I drew those. So that was definitely really cool to see. But I still think it just comes back to the same time, and I'm starting to get it more and more often as well, and it's just when someone messages me on Facebook or on the Twitter page or wherever it is, and sends me a picture of a tattoo and it's my work, or asks me, hey, can I get this tattooed? And I mean, that for someone to actually like something so much to get it permanently inked on their body, like that, I think that's where if you're getting it tattooed on you, then I mean that's always really humbling. I always say, people always ask me permission, and I say, yeah, just go for it, like go crazy. And so there's like a little Cthulhu drawing I did way back in like 2008 or something like that, when I was just starting to draw, 2007 maybe, and it is still #1 most tattooed thing, the #1 most sort of I think I had a Redbubble store at one stage, and I think it's still up and running, and there's sort of revenue that keeps popping through every month. People are still buying it. It's been sold like over 2,000-3,000 times or something like that. It's just, this Cthulhu is just everywhere. So and it sucks because I'm like, oh my god, it's so old and it's so bad, but everyone loves it. So and I got a Facebook message just like a week ago with someone saying, hey, me and my friend are going to go get matching tattoos. Can we get the Cthulhu? I was like, yeah, go for it. And they sent me a picture of it. I was just like, oh man, this is so cool. So that's that is one of the biggest things. And I've had reports of people saying, oh, my friend got this picture of yours tattooed, and I was like, oh, well, send me a picture. I always like to see the photos.
Yeah.
It's always really good to see. Yeah.
That is awesome.
But that's definitely it for me.
I have 3 things that I have that have been used in real life that I really enjoyed. I did the Yaush and Team Caliber picture packs for Xbox Live, which was really sweet. And the YouTubeable iPhone wallpaper that I did just recently, actually, it's been downloaded over 500 times now in like less than 2 weeks, I think. It's probably more due to his following than it is my design, but it's still cool to see people tweet you pictures and you're on their cell phone. But the coolest thing, I used to work for a web design company. We did real estate investor websites, and we every once in a while we would do custom projects for guys, and I created a logo for this guy, and I gave it to him, and I didn't hear from him for a while, and then about 6 months later he messaged me, and he was like, the logo you designed in action, and he got it etched on the window of his office building. Of course, he had business cards and the whole rigmarole there, but the coolest thing was he had actually just gotten married, and he had the logo printed on his groom's cake at the wedding and sent me a picture of it.
That's awesome.
I thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's a trip when you see your stuff out in the wild in any form. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
On a wedding cake, that's awesome. That's very cool.
I'll tell you one thing, if my logo stays with me and, when I'm done in design school and, I can actually go away from, if I don't ever go away from the name Rated, I could see myself getting a tattoo of my logo.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because it brings up a topic that has been somewhat of a Twitter discussion recently, and that's using design handles versus your real name. And, whether people.
The only reason I could see people using design handles or the I guess. Alias, yeah. Would be because the internet is it's not a scary place in the in the way of like you're gonna go get scared by the hand slinging slasher on the internet. No, I mean it's like people are literally bored out of their minds, and they have nothing better to do than to look up your personal information. So, I mean, if you want to use your real name, I mean, you should go for it. But, I mean, in my opinion, I couldn't use my real name just because I wouldn't want anybody really knowing, my real name unless it was like, I guess, a real life customer.
Yeah. And some people do that as well. They use a design alias for online stuff, and then they have their actual name as full clientele.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
What do you think, Evan, as a person that uses their name?
It's because all of those brain cells I had that could come up with cool names are burned, so I...
You couldn't come up with Final Freestyler?
I used to have a handle kind of thing way back when. But I grew. I don't know. I just grew out of it. Like I was. It was one of those. It was one. It was. It definitely wasn't as cool as what you guys got going on. It was actually pretty stupid. So I mean that definitely helps like get rid of it quicker.
Like what was it like Fruity Man 24?
No, I came up with it in
22.
Pip Daddy 69.
It was I don't even want to say it. It wasn't. It was. It wasn't bad. It was just a made up word, but another reason why I changed is well outside of like. Okay, so here's the reason. So it was a made up word. It started with the letter V. I will give you that much. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 7 characters long. It just was a made up name. Well, I was using it for like maybe 2 or 3 years just for fun. It was just something to design under. And then this medication comes out on the market, and it also starts with a V, and it also has 6 to 7 letters in it, and it's for you know, can't get your wiener up. So
okay, well, see now
Viagra showed up, and it sounded really close to the name I had made up 3 or 4 years prior, and it was so close that I actually got a couple messages from Pfizer or whoever it was. And I thought, yeah, it's not a good name to use anymore. So I ended with that. And now I still have the domains. It's just a spam box. Like I just get blasted with spam. So
Nice.
yeah, after that it was.
would have had the best branding.
When I had to, so when I was like, this isn't gonna work, I was thinking, you know, and everything I thought of was just like, it just was dumb. So I'm like, forget it. I'm just gonna.
I'm actually really interested to see what this is.
What's that?
Looking to grow your brain.
I'm trying to think of like what it could be. Does it sound like it?
It was spelled Viatrax.
Vitrax?
Yeah, sounded a lot like Viagra. So.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I was 16 years old. It sounded cool, and then I was like 18, and
sound cool then?
Yeah, old guys couldn't get it up, so you know.
That's amazing.
So
you know, I think
I tried coming up with other stuff, but it just nothing stuck and nothing sounded cool, and everybody had like cool names, you know, and I was like, I can't think of anything, and thought, well, and then I was drawing logos that were double E's, and it just worked better. So, you know,
you do have the cool like superhero alliteration name, so that's good.
My logo, my name does make for an easy logo. I mean, that's like you can't. There's so many like forms of ways you can put in interlocking E's that I kind of got it easy. I
don't know if Zach will agree with this, because I know that he's he originally started out on a forum based platform like I did, but you just didn't use you never told anybody your actual name in the forums. You always went by your handle, and that's kind of where I'm coming from with using a design handle over my actual name.
Same thing. I used to frequent a design board called Dreamless, and it was just to have. But there, I think I just had my username was VIA. It wasn't the whole thing, because by then Viagra was already in the market, and it was a mess. So I just went by Via, and I don't really know why, to be honest. I don't know where it came from. It doesn't mean anything.
What would be even funnier is if you actually had the name Viagra.
Yeah, it was like Viagri or something. Like one vowel off. Viagra.
I could just imagine that. I'm so happy that I never chose a name that
got turned into a medication for, for wieners.
I will tell you that I 2 years back when my YouTube channel was booming, it still is, I think, but
I have to go check if mine's still there. Like, do I still have one?
I mean, it's still there. I had a kid that made an account. I'm sure it was like some guy that hated me. And my YouTube handle is Call Me Rated X. Now, the reason it's Call Me Rated X is so people can call me rated.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. So somebody thought it would be funny it's Call Me Retarded X. Which was funny. But... and on every video, he left a comment saying, Call Me Retarded X. And I just thought it was funny as hell. I don't know what it was, but...
Or you could technically change it to... And that could get really interesting.
Then there was Call Me Gated was pretty bad.
That's what they tell businesses to do, though. I don't know. They when you go to register a domain or come up with a company name, you go ahead and register all the crap that you don't want to see, too, right? So if you got, you know, and I probably shouldn't. Now I'm gonna, because I don't like say, I don't know. Say someone went and registered. I'm sure somebody tried to get McDonald'sSucks.com or something, right? And McDonald's probably has it. So you know, you get all the like
direct right to McDonald's. Oh, you thought we suck? Well, here we are on our website again.
That's why you try and register all the top level domains. You get .com, .net, .org, simply because you don't want anybody else to run with it. You know, and it. I had a coworker that did that. He hated another coworker so bad that he I don't want to say his name, but you know, say his name was like Carlos something, right? That's a terrible example, but you know, like say it was like
Carlos. That's a great name.
I'm trying to. Let me think. You know, think of
out at the table, Carlos.
Think of like you got James, you know. James Doe or something, and so somebody goes and registers Jim Doe or something, you know, and they make a spoof site, you know, that is all, you know, I've seen that happen.
actually, whenever I was going to register my domain, I got pixels2life.com, but somebody's currently sitting on pixels the number 2 life, and he has everything privated, so I can't even contact him to try and buy it off of him. And there's no website there. It's just like one of those.
Yeah. Honestly, TO's better. I would keep TO anyways. More people would punch in the word T rather than a number.
I was just buying it for the purposes of. Yeah, I was just buying it for the purposes of if somebody, you know, because usually on some of my social media sites, it is the number 2 life. Yep. So just in case somebody got that mixed up, I wanted to have it, but he owns it, so.
I forgot how we got on this conversation.
We're talking about using design aliases as opposed to real names.
That's right.
Forgot how we got on here, man.
Yeah. Well, see, like your guys' stuff makes sense. Inkbite makes sense. You know, Rated makes sense. Pixels makes sense. Viagra doesn't make sense. You know,
it makes sense, but not in your situation.
Yeah.
My problem is my stuff is all skew-if because when I obviously I created a YouTube account and I had this internet handle way back in like grade 8 or grade 9, which that's what like something like that. So and it was Squishy B, and that was just what and the only reason I had it was I had Squishy and another mate had Sentinel and he added a B to the end of it. I was like, sweet, yeah, I'll add a B to the end of mine. So Squishy B, and it's good because for 15 years I could go on any website and log in. Okay, well Squishy B and my password, and if it didn't work, I'm like, okay, well I haven't registered on this site. Or if I went to register on a site and typed in Squishy B and said this username is already taken, I'm like, okay, sweet. Well, I am already a member because no one else had it. That's now changed. Everywhere I go, there's and so that was my YouTube login because that again, same thing. You know, it's the same thing with everything. And so then I started uploading videos, and it didn't really think of anything more of it than to put up a video. And so now the channel is Squishy B. And then when I started illustrating, I obviously came up. Actually, I came up with Inkbite with the help of someone else, I think. And so now it's sort of stuck in this weird. I'm in between you Inkbite or you Josh, and I'm like, call me what you want.
It's actually It's actually a really funny story that you bring that up because whenever I first discovered you, like, whenever I first saw your work, it was actually on Instagram of all places. I think Evan had liked one of your posts or something like that, maybe. And I went on there and I was looking for your YouTube channel, couldn't find it. I was like, why? What is this guy's YouTube name? This is insane. I like literally internet stalked the crap out of you until I finally uncovered it, and I was like, gee.
Yeah, I always thought it should be until somebody corrected me. He's like, no, it's Inkbite, and I was like,
yeah. Well, the way that I try, I mean, in the end, if people get confused, I'm like, well, I'm Squishy Bee. The company's called Inkbite. Squishy Bee worked for Inkbite. And they're like, well, who's Josh? I'm like, yeah, just don't worry about it.
See, I can't do that either. I used to be able to call people by their handles on like design forums and stuff, but I can't do that anymore. I can't. It feels wrong. Like I can't. Like I have to call. If I don't know your real name, it drives. I can't do it. I don't know why.
I made it even worse. I made it even worse because on my Skype I had because my last name is Bruce. Everyone just called me Brucey. Like obviously the guys at hockey and the guys at school and everything like that, I'm just known as Brucey. And so that was my Skype name. So then everyone thought my name was Bruce. And then I had full names. And then like, hey Bruce, what's going on? And it got
that's not what name I was. I just would call myself it.
That's it. I just rolled with it. And it's like, what is? Hey, yeah.
The other day, Evan messaged me on Skype and he said something like, "What's up, Nick?" or something like that. I was like, it really threw me off for some reason because almost no one.
Evan has never called me Rated. Everything is Zach, and I was like,
I
this is
can't.
awesome.
I have to.
No one. I mean, like I don't.
If
mind
not, I'm
if
gonna
people
call you Bud the whole time.
Well, I hate. Oh my
Zach
god.
hates that.
I know. When it comes to you, I'm like, okay, I can't say it to him, but it.
It's not like, well, if someone's older than me, call me Bud all you want. I don't care. But if you're like if you're younger than me, don't call me Bud. Like, where does it get from? You know, like your father comes up to you, you'll do good, Bud. You don't have a kid call your father Bud. Like, you know, it's like, you know what I mean?
I always reminds me of that movie of the dog who played basketball.
Right. No, it's like something where it's like, if you are younger than me, don't call me Bud.
It's gotta be an age thing. It's like my grandfather used to call everybody Mac, you know, and it's like what's Mac, you know, like it's a truck, you know, it's like no, it's called Mac, you know, and it's definitely, I don't know.
It's kind of like when you call a woman ma'am. If they're younger, you don't call them ma'am.
No, that'll get you slapped. Yeah.
Or you get slapped. Yeah. And my mom always told me never call a woman ma'am. And I call a woman ma'am.
Actually, this is kind of unrelated, but mine may not be funny, but my wife still laughs at it. We were going through the drive-thru at McDonald's the other day, and I pulled up, and I was talking to a lady in the speaker box, and 2 minutes to 5, and they were refusing to sell me the dinner box until it became 5 o'clock. Anyway, first world problems. But I was talking to my wife at the same time, like checking things, and then I responded to her, and I said, I meant to say yes, darling, to my wife. And I said to the lady on the speaker box, I said, no worries, darling. And then it was just awkward, so I just drove right through. I didn't... I called the lady... man, it was so bad. I couldn't... And she was older than me, and I was like, oh my god, I just called her darling. And I was like, nah, I just keep going. I don't want McDonald's anymore.
No, this will get you in trouble. The worst I ever did was... and actually, my wife doesn't care. She laughed at it, but I still feel really bad. I had to get up in the middle of the night for something, and it was like I had no sleep. It was I think I had taken like cold medication or something, and I feel so embarrassed for saying this, but she yelled at me for saying to do something, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, Mom, and kept walking off, and we didn't have kids yet, and I she's like, what? And I'm like, what did I say? I didn't even like. She had to tell me later, like, "Oh, I'm really sorry."
I actually get away with that because with the kids when I go speak to mum. So I always, when I yell out mum, she usually answers.
When you have kids, it doesn't matter. We don't have kids.
Yeah,
it's
bad.
My wife and I, we always have, we always end our phone conversations with "I love you," and I can't tell you how many times I've been on the phone with somebody, and we go to hang up, and I'm like, all right, love you. And I'm like, God dang it.
That would be awkward. Like,
I'm
if
like,
you were
God.
talking and you just were like, love you, and hung up, I'd be like, dude.
I was like,
Dude.
like, why did I?
I'm gonna start doing it on purpose to you.
That would be so great.
All right, love you, Nick. Bye.
Well, on that note,
You hang out first. No, you hang out first.
well, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. And again, I would like to thank Josh, Squishy Bee, Inkbite for coming on and being a part of the show. And
No worries. Thanks for having me. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
all right, guys, and just be sure to tune in next week unless we have more technical difficulties. Evan.
Yeah, if Evan breaks it again. Oh, I hope I did this right now. I'm like thinking, ooh, I can't check it because it'll shut everything down. But at the same time, like, I think I got it right.
Evan's got a new phobia now.
And they gotta, if you got, we gotta like do questions and stuff next time. So if you got questions, leave them in the comments so we have something to talk about rather than getting ourselves in trouble with
Or
our
do that
significant others and stuff.
Yep. Yep. We definitely want to take some comments from people that are watching the show and get your guys' questions on here. And yeah, that's a really good point.
Before we leave though, I wonder if this video is gonna get plastered with Viagra ads now. It might.
God dang it, Em.
How weird
check
would
it.
that be?
It's,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
like Google's on a roll.
Google's got this.
And McDonald's advertising it.
It's gonna be burgers and wiener medication.
Yeah.
It'll be burgers and wiener medication.
Sounds like my internet history.
Before this gets any further out of hand,
Wait, are you looking at my browser history?
all right, guys. Seriously, though, that's it for us this week, and we appreciate you guys listening and now
Love you,
watching,
Nick. Love you,
since
Nick.
the podcast officially has video now. And we'll see you guys next week.
Love you, Nick.